All right, here we are with Penutbutter, Luigi. Gonna go see this replay from July 2018. Starting it up. This is the second time around. We had a replay bug first time. So let's see if we all get the same game.
Got it.
We got it?
Yep.
Allied
I'm
fine.
Norway.
Good stuff. Yes.
Jeez.
Why we definitely wanted you in this. Bobo on his return from Thailand is playing Russia. Looks like we have defeat as Italy, and everybody else is pretty self-explanatory. Quick Belgium take. Bobo does a quick 6 tank. So there he's taking men from his bunkers, 6 tanks, and then sending those directly as attack move to the east. And he gets there right before the bunkers are made, so should be pretty happy with this hit. Missile turrets being made south of Paris, so Napoleon trying something. Engaging with his troops. Getting a lot of hits on the air. Axis having to retreat backwards. Spain really needs to be coming up here, and finally I'm getting up with the Marines and Scouts. Looks overall to be a pretty decent take from the Axis, and then let's head over to the east, and we're seeing that Corps was taken out. And yes, Italy has a big tank count, but taking out Corps and a start for it, very worth it for Bobo.
Definitely.
Building drop ships, he already has 10 drops built. Spain and UK going to trade air in the western part of UK. 53 kill count for Napoleon, pretty standard.
I liked how Italy held against the 6 tank because, you know, a lot of people might panic and put down a bunker, but instead, you know, he just said, all right, I'm just going to just take 2 SCVs repairing this one German bunker, and then I know the BCs aren't there, so I should be okay, you know, then just responded appropriately.
Favorite thing of mine as what Italy just did is cleared out the southern portion of Russia there of the buildings, and what that lets you do is you can fight for both Poland and that very, very far southern west city, and you can constantly fight for control over these 3 cities, and something that gives lets you fight as Italy against Russia and try to get a little bit more tax and get advantages through that way.
Yeah, definitely. It's really, I mean, especially because I know like Russia will be floating stuff through, so Russia might actually end up getting the tax through just by buildings trying to float to Poland, but you know, definitely opens up the option for Axis to, you know, test more things, which is always good.
And the push once they go balls, defend it, they back. No bunks are there.
That's true. So you can funnel more. You can funnel more troops into the. And that's something that Chris would do is he would constantly kill his own bunkers just so he could get a higher troop count in through the bulks as quick as possible. But here Bobo starting to load. It'll be interesting to see where he decides to hit. But with Spain, I mean, Norway going east for this first rush, it looks like he's going to do a 267 hit with a 116 Norway hit east. And it'll be interesting to see whether they go east or bulks. Kind of hard to tell with how the troops are positioning now. They're kind of right in the middle, but I would say that they're going to go east because of how that first attack was fairly successful, but we'll have to see. 4 drops from Spain.
Oh yeah,
going east, but now it appears going bulks.
Bobo definitely taking a page out of Chris's book to go bulks.
Let's see what he does with it.
Yeah, good first hit, being able to take out the bunkers pretty quickly. He's got tanks and BCs right in the front. Redirecting his troops right to clear the first bunker. Excellent troop control. BCs there extremely quickly, along with Spanish drops, 4 Spanish drops, and let's see if I can actually get these dropped before losing them. Doesn't look like it. Ouch. That sucks.
We got drops going down.
We're going down right into the bunkers.
UK gets a good couple of picks on BCs.
A very, very close fight. Now with Norway funneling in, if the RAF sticks around, he probably could get some good shots right now.
They'll probably get them all.
Penny's seeing that, moving back towards the bunkers. And with these tanks coming in and with the bunkers being constantly repaired, it looks like the Axis are just going to be barely able to hold, but excellent attack from the Allies. And there you see, with a combination of drops and a full Norway attack, what you can do by sending everything through bulks. And BC count at what, 5? Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
And 1 over at Paris, so a total of 6. So good on the Allies on dropping the BC count that low for this early in the game. Looks like Napoleon's getting ready to start taking Africa. Didn't get a whole lot of help from UK. Most UKs these days go ahead and clear out the Italian bunkers and tanks. So Triccion went ahead and pulled his BCs ASAP, and they're now making their way through Norway over towards the UK. Med cleared fairly easily.
Oh, and actually, UK losing a lot of air, actually. Well, actually, he pulled it from Med. He almost managed to get some away. Darn.
Not quite. And interesting, I only made the 1 barracks, so I only have 1 barracks on the go as Spain. Most of the time, oh, actually, sorry, I had 2. I lifted 1, but pretty small amount of drops at this point, only 7, and that's because I lost 3 drops. Going to east, big fight over by north of Norway. UK getting the better of this trade. Mines taking out the Oslo men.
Yeah, that was all the mess too. So, and it was, we had Russia come in, Norway come in, and it was just a 3-round air battle. It was just not a good trade.
So we'll see what Penny decides to do here. BCs are moving west towards UK. He could Yamato some turrets, but without some massive drops, or possibly Italy's air, they're going to have a hard time with this. No science vessel either. This could be disaster for the Axis. Mines going towards the tanks and not being able to kill a whole lot of troops because of the tanks being dropped and taking those 3 or 4 mines. Spain being able to get enough troops down to be able to provide support for the BCs. Norway dropping up ahead, but without the RAF, it might be not enough. Air being traded, and UK being able to take out all of the Italian air, and now the BCs are all alone. Very dangerous in this spot. They're going to take out the 1 BC, but with some coordinated air.
Overall, Russia has dropped Germany and is ripping Berlin apart. And so now the BCs are stuck in UK for the moment.
I don't think he even realizes.
What an excellent play. I love that. And this is the advantage of doing Russian drops. You just drop right behind the bunker wall, cleared out the starport, the command center, everything around Berlin. It's just a complete wasteland around Germany. And as Spain starting to put defensive buildings around London, realizing that now with having very little Axis air and not much of Germany left, they have to hold the UK if they have any possible way of winning this game.
Definitely.
Africa, the way it is good for the Axis at this point. Napoleon wanted to make sure he had enough troops before pushing, which he is doing now, along with a complement of dragoons. So we'll see if this army is able to push on through, and that very well could help the Allies continue to win the second half of this game.
Definitely, and I like with the tempo, like because of the tempo of the game, a lot of stuff's been happening. You know, France being able to take the time to steadily build up a large tank count in Africa is a big deal, especially if there's not a huge, you know, bunker wall down in Alge. So like, it looks like he should definitely to take Africa. But he is actually losing a lot here with this hold. Penny, so this is actually pretty good, at least for Germ. And BCs are coming to Africa, actually, so he is going to try to clear out the Charming.
And I think it's a good move because he doesn't have enough messers to clear this out. Spain is trying to fortify UK, which there's now a fight going on with tanks luring troops down. Redrop happening. If you're able to knock out this army from France, then it leaves you the opportunity to either bunk Africa again, or go ahead and clear out the army in UK. But here, BC's
he does
fighting.
manage to get a turret down. I do like that. So he definitely takes the industry, which is very important.
Absolutely.
We got a fight going on in UK. Spain definitely being able to hold this really well, especially with that line. It makes it really difficult to redrop on without a big air presence.
I don't know if I should have traded troops there in that scenario. I kind of went fairly even with Norway. Just kind of sent them up there, and we had a good old fight. But because you had a lot of tanks there, that's why the fight went so well for Norway. But if you get a Norway drop as well as with that army you currently have, it probably would be enough to take out what I've built. But
definitely it's just important with like the BCs being off and away. Like the priority, I guess, for allies at this point is to protect that trigger with all the BCs coming. So like being able to hold this upper part is important.
Also the armory, being able, if there's not 3-3 RAF yet, to go ahead and take a peek. He does have 3-3, but not every UK will have 3-3 at this point. So that armory, becomes more and more valuable to take out or to hold for the reverse, because it's a real pain in the ass as UK to have to rebuild that. Normally you're rebuilding it in Russia or somewhere. You have to spend the 800 to build it, and then continue to make upgrades. Not something you want to be doing. And then here's the fight. One BC taken out.
I've also started seeing, especially some Spains, do a turn like as part of their opener. They'll get one dropship, and they'll try to snipe that armory, like right at the start. Especially if UK's not paying attention, it could be rather annoying. But luckily, you do have 8 men up there that can stop it. And then if you're just aware with your air, you can dropship. So.
I personally love that play. If you can do that play as the Axis, it's normally always worth it.
Definitely, because it puts them so far behind, in terms of the upgrades.
Yeah, and those early air fights, swing in the favor of the Axis when you're able to do this. And this is something that I don't tend to do as much, but it seems to pay off in this situation. But this quick USA drop, like turn 4-ish, turn 3, where the reason to not do it is because the allies can retake it normally so easy. It's a very hard to defend type of spot. So I'm going to be interested to see if Norway drops here. No, it looks like he's going to go towards Canada. He's got to get these troops down, or they're just going to be picked off by the scouts. A big fight in USA, and this is the reason to not drop USA is for exactly this reason. And you did a good job there as Norway immediately taking it out. And now with those same troops, you can either redrop onto UK, or you can now go to Ireland. Of course, now with the German air there, they'd both be mistakes, but you wouldn't normally suspect that the German air would be in UK at this point.
Definitely. And meanwhile, UK has managed to take out all of Italy's air on east. So as just with the timing, you know, this game's so big on the timing of things, especially with triggers. You know, so UK knowing that, you know, Germany's probably going to try to stop D-Day, and you know, just at the same time, you know, you just saying, well, you know, if you're going to do that, I'm going to make sure that I can at least take out all 4 of PCs. And you know, it sets a good precedent for allies on these to apply that pressure. And I may have had a few drinks because I don't know why I mined Berlin. I don't know why.
Because you can. Scouting. But really a good situation for Germany at this point. Not for Germany, for Russia. There's no eastern wall to speak of. And,
definitely.
Russia definitely having the tank advantage massively over Italy at this point. So ground, huge advantage for allies. And then the air would be an advantage for the Axis at this point.
Definitely. And France has a really sizable army right now, actually going for a drop, it looks like, on the islands. Definitely doing what you should be doing, which is, you know, just harassing, you know, applying pressure. You want to make the Axis team doubt their options, you know, like it's all about keeping them, you know, off beat.
In Germany. It's about keeping them in Germany.
Yeah,
If you take all of Africa, it makes them stay home. They can't really go anywhere.
It's a big money shift away from Axis having Algiers and the 3 islands. And if you're able to shift all that income from the Axis over to France, it pretty much gives the Allies an income advantage just from those trades. And the carriers are getting pressured, but thankfully Penny is there to protect
definitely
them.
Good play from Penny to make sure that the BCs are kept alive. Or sorry, the carriers.
And good timing from Napoleon. You were just mentioning the timing is so important in this game, but making sure to take the islands right before the carrier trigger was a good heads-up play on his part. Even though he didn't get a carrier, it was still a good idea, and it still retains control of the islands. Anyways.
He was definitely setting up to try to take the Italy trigger by himself, which is like that's a huge thing for France to do, especially at this point in the game. You know, having Africa and being able to do that, this is solid.
And
we got a
D-Day fight, and a D-Day and an Oslo fight at the same time. Let's see how this turns out.
Actually get a good bit of BCs.
So got 1 BC, but heavily damaged to the other 5. Axis, successful drop onto Oslo, now moving troops up. Germany now going to fight the rest of UK's air, but may not want to do that unless he fights over water. Definitely does not want to fight over land, as then the Allies could win this. But Allies being fairly passive, wanting to fall back, and it's a little bit of miscommunication, a little bit of back and forth.
I thought they wanted to go back in.
BC's chasing each other down. Messer's going after the drops. The Spanish army cleared out, but was successful in taking out a lot of the buildings in Norway, a lot of the missile turrets. Italy keeping his carriers around Norway a little bit long, not fearing the RAF at this point. The BCs are fighting in Canada, and it's not often you see that a BC
Yeah.
fight over
Yeah,
in the
those
far
VCs
top
are
left
definitely
corner.
gone. Yeah, I think us retreating there. I think we would have been better off trying to trade in
Even though you
the
might have
northern
lost
part of
it,
the
lost
yeah.
the fight overall, you still probably would have been able to take out a good part of the Axis air.
Yeah, because we ended up losing all those BCs, and I don't even think we gotta beat. But we've had other stuff going on. France has been trying to open up
Yep.
the south with constant drop harass. Got prodding east a lot, keeping Italy carriers out of Norway.
This is still anyone's game. I could see both teams winning this.
Tax wise, it looks like for sure, like allies, even with the loss of UK and Canada and USA, it's USA. They should be slightly ahead.
It's hard to tell at this point. It really is, because with Axis taking USA and Canada and having UK, but then losing
Right.
the islands in Africa, it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
We got the Italian carriers harassing islands now.
Good use of air from defeat or ARG. Defeat, probably. Not much the France can do unless you have a fair number of scouts.
Definitely, and France does have a pretty significant sized army, though. It does have 2 BCs kind of just hanging out in Egypt, but being able to apply, we got a big hit coming from Bobo. Oh, and the BCs from Penny coming in to try to push this attack back. It
This
looks like Bobo's gonna have wow.
Devastating for the Allies if they lose most of these tanks here. It looks like Spain's got a drop, deciding not to drop with the BCs and going over towards Finland. I don't know if this is advisable. But lots of fighting going on. BC's pulling from east and then going to support these Spanish drops. Seems
France is dropping Italy at the same time. A lot of stuff happening at the same happening now. Blue carriers are back in Italy. Usually at this point in the game, I've heard a lot of terms called that they want the carriers BCs like at all times.
Yes.
Right now, BC's in Finland. Showing me why I should not play Norway ever again. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like taking out barracks, and like we were commenting in another game before, the supply depot position for Norway has changed, but like this is more the traditional, and now it would be a lot better if I built those in like Russia, because then it's a lot harder for them to push into Russia than it is here. And it looks like, Allies going in on a big fight with drops. Looks like they're going to manage to take out, getting a lot of BCs is a good drop from Allies.
Yep.
Good trade.
I think this is game. I think Allies win this right now. And this is the advantage of having Russian drops. It lets you put a ton of Marines onto these BCs. And if right now as Axis, you pretty much got to leave those BCs and get the scouts out of there. Yeah,
definitely, and a lot of these veterans, just pulling out from oil is just very helpful. The mess count still pretty decent. Looks like about to be about probably about 15 or so scouts left. Could have gone a lot worse. Could have lost all of it. I don't know. I think that was just a beautiful trade for Allies. Definitely what you want, especially Norway can rebuild. Air count's still high.
I think the mistake was Spain dropping Finland without the BCs being there to back them up. I think if Spain waits a little bit for the BCs to get there and then drops, where at least you have some Marines underneath, then that would have worked better. Or dropping closer towards the western Norway industry, dropping the five drops there, meeting up with the BCs, and then pushing north, where you can then take out the Norway supplies once again,
right,
when you're going to have BCs and Marines together. So a little bit of a bad move on my part, and then with Penny following up with the BCs afterwards with no Marines, the allies taking advantage of that.
It's so important to have a concentrated effort, especially on like with allies, you get a little bit more splitty and more harass and open up the map for access to different things. But I think like in this game, it's like a prime example of like prioritizing what's important. And like you said, like having split it off, like having all that stuff together would be beneficial, and possibly even allow you to even have a in that fight. I think it's just the positioning of the air in that fight being so far away from everything else just was not a good idea. But and then allies were able to respond appropriately. Like UK with the size of ground army, actually, like those veterans. I'm telling you, those veterans are so important. They're great.
Absolutely. And right now we're seeing Spain going east, and France it looks like to be going heavy into Algiers. Do you think Spain should be instead focusing on going and taking Algeria, or do you have to assume that Napoleon's there and that you really shouldn't be fighting France one on one? Like there's a
I
couple ways you can go.
I think if the count just after like that fight specifically, as Spain I would not go Alge because I know that the Germans talk to me as Spain and say, hey, we need you east. Because we'll just lose. Like even trying to take Alge is risky without Germany's support. And I think like even like just looking now, like his army's huge. He's got it properly figured up. I don't even know like I don't think Spain could 1v France and Alge and win, especially at this game with the production and tax that France has currently.
Yeah, so there's three places. You either go Norway, East, or Algeria, and then I guess the fourth option is just stay mobile, stay defensive, and then kind of support wherever's needed. But right now, with Spain getting a little bit over 4,000 income a turn, he's got to be doing something.
Right.
And yeah, those are the four options. And then of course we have the advantage of seeing that Algiers is stacked. I don't think I knew that Algiers was this stacked. Uh, so
Right.
it is an option. Of course, we can see it would be a bad option, but it's definitely one that you could take, and there'd be some logic behind it.
Yeah, I think especially seeing like the way that he's playing, if in the communication teamwork, you know that like France is constantly dropping Italy, and that's like that can be very. And here's a drop from France on Spain currently, but it's going to manage to get the artillery, which is going to be good for the next few drops. But solid coming out from Spain, so it's going to be able to figure out that drop. But then again, it pulls the drops back. It's just there's always that threat of making sure Spain at this point. I feel like the priority is like just assisting whatever Germany wants you to do, and then holding Spain at all costs, like the next things.
So here's my thought process to Spain. I just saw a failed drop from France, so I know that his unit count is probably not incredibly high, although it could be higher
Right.
than mine. And right now with Spain with 190 unit count, first of all you never see that in games. It's
Right.
incredibly
It's very
high. And that's why I decided then to drop Africa and proceed to attack. So I don't necessarily think that this drop will be enough, but right now I wanna use my men. I want to get this trade going on. 3-3 Marines also as Spain is incredibly useful at this point.
Meanwhile, he counter drops into Spain.
Interesting.
And it's tough for Spain in this situation, because really like Spain, a lot of Spain's army is on Len to make sure that they just don't lose east. But no, definitely your reason for that is very sound, though. I definitely agree with it because especially you assume at this point, especially if you don't see France army in Algeria, you assume that they might be going east, so it might give you the proper time to at least clear Alge out temporarily and just tax it. Like I don't think you're gonna actually go to active cold Alge at this, after this point, but it's just gonna be like drop, take, exchange France.
A nice messer count by Penny, and just showing the messers there in Spain was enough to prevent Napoleon from finishing me off. So
Definitely.
good on him, and he's just going to go around and start clearing with his. Looks like to be 3 groups of scouts there, and doing something that I love doing, clearing out as much as you can towards the southern portion of the map while not taking too much damage.
Napoleon's putting constant pressure on Spain here. You know, I definitely like this because you know it forces the German mess to respond to it, and it also stops Axis really making push else. Like can't really concentrate effort on Norway. They can't really like go into east, but we have a massive push coming in from east. Looks like it's actually going at the spot you know you don't really see too often actually.
Looks like he's hitting there to purposely avoid the Protoss wall in the north.
Good drop from Russia actually, intercepting the mess as they were coming in.
Nice. Being able for Russia to send some tanks down south of the mountains and try not to get bottlenecked so much, but with the BCs and the carriers
There's not enough ground now.
There's not.
That's the only thing. No. There's a huge tank count, but it's just cannot stop this.
So it appears to be an Axis win here.
It's kind of funny because like even looking at the end of the replay, you know, DJ. If you look at UK, like UK's air has a lot of air just kind of hanging out, clearing UK.
I think he just
a good portion.
Yeah, and he just got his trigger, man. He just retook an industry, so it looked like there was 2 Lend Leases that had just spawned there.
I feel like it was a little premature then because, you know, or like the attack came too early. Because especially if that trigger was coming up, you know, Ally Air would have been able to. It would have been so beneficial to have that air there. Then Allied Air would have been more, or at least equal to Germ.
I think he left before knowing that all those Lend Leases had built up, and that how UK had just spawned them right now. He would have been able to take UK and get these at least get the RAF out. Maybe not the BCs, but he'd get the RAF out, and there's still a lot of game on, like still some meat on this bone here. It makes you wonder what would have happened seeing another turn or two.
Yeah, I definitely think even despite not having, I still think it might have been a little premature just because given the size of like Napoleon's army, you know, like our France's army, you know, still significant. You know, it usually just give France the opportunity to come east. You know, definitely for those big hits.
I was thinking maybe he didn't stay that long after the first drop failed. Maybe he should have went. You know what I mean? Because now Spain's going to build up at home, so now maybe he should east.
Yeah, because it you know it's really tough. I know for France, it's like especially when you're in that situation when you're in Algeria, because you're thinking, okay, where do I want to drop at? And it's so easy for like German BCs to kind of just move down in Spain and clear up anyway, or you know the mess count is so huge. So that's usually why, like at least when I've been playing Spain, I've been going air because you know it's just the mobility and being able to catch German air like over water. It's just always a good fight usually. Like I've seen very few times where German like wins over water, but like I don't know. It's just I don't know. I wish I could have played better as Norway, but wish I knew fair drop.
Well, it was an interesting game. You know, I think as we were just discussing, if there's you know 2 groups of RAF on east with 100 man count France army also pushing east with that exact same attack, that you maybe have a different story. Maybe both armies clear each other out and we have a stalemate, which in case allies can still win that game. But you know, just a little bit of an early leave. But anyways, interesting game. And thanks Luigi, Penutbutter, for walking us through this. Looks like we have Goliath that wants to hop in and see some of these reps that we're looking at. So maybe we'll get a 4-man cast going on.
All right, perfect.
All right, thanks guys. And I'm just gonna go over to the kill counts and see what the kills and the resources were looking like. Yeah, you know, everything's pretty standard. Nothing is really kind of just for resources. Spain was actually got more resources than UK. and was almost up to Germany's level. So there you could see just Spain being able to have a little bit more power in that game that you really should be getting if allies are going to win.
Definitely, the tax for Spain is just so important to just keep that money up, just to keep that drop play going and be the support you need.
There you go. Thanks, guys. Ravix out. See you around.